Officer didn't believe the little girl about her police dog until his missing son was discovered. The sirens had already gone quiet, but the fear in Officer Daniel Harper's chest was still screaming. Somewhere beyond the tree line, past the abandoned fields and broken fences, his 6-year-old son was missing. The world felt unreal, like it had tilted off its axis, and no amount of training or years in uniform had prepared him for the helplessness of this moment. Then, through the chaos, a small voice spoke up, steady, innocent, and completely ignored at first. Before the story continues, take a moment and engage with this video. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unexpected ways hope finds us, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps these powerful stories alive. Daniel had spent his entire career trusting evidence, procedure, and logic. Emotions were something he had learned to lock away neatly behind duty and discipline. That night, however, none of that mattered. His wife was barely standing, her face drained of color as search teams fanned out with flashlights and radios. Volunteers whispered prayers, dogs barked in the distance. Every passing minute felt heavier than the last, pressing down on his lungs until breathing itself felt like work. That was when he noticed the little girl standing near the edge of the crowd. She couldn't have been more than 8 or 9, wearing an oversized jacket and holding the leash of a German shepherd that sat calmly beside her. The dog's posture was different from the others, alert, focused, almost waiting. The girl's eyes kept drifting toward the dark woods, as if she knew something the rest of them didn't. Daniel barely registered her at first. In moments like these, children blended into the background, protected and kept out of the way. When she stepped forward and tried to speak, her voice was swallowed by radio chatter and urgent commands. Someone gently guided her back, telling her to stay with the other families. Daniel didn't even turn his head. The search stretched on. Hours passed. Flashlights cut through fog and brush, finding nothing but footprints that led nowhere and shadows that played cruel tricks on tired eyes. Daniel's mind replayed every moment of the day, every chance he might have missed something, every decision that had led them here. Guilt crept in quietly, then grew louder with each unanswered call into the darkness. The little girl tried again. She tugged on an officer's sleeve, her grip small but determined. She gestured to her dog, then toward the woods, her face serious in a way no child's should ever have to be. The officer smiled politely, nodding without listening, already turning back to his task. It wasn't cruelty, it was urgency. In crises, only certain voices were heard, but the dog had begun to whine softly, its ears twitching, nose lifted as if catching a scent the humans couldn't. The sound cut through Daniel's thoughts like a thin blade. He turned then, his eyes finally landing on the pair he had dismissed moments earlier. The girl met his gaze, and there was no fear in her eyes, only certainty. Daniel walked over, exhaustion etched deep into his face. The girl explained in halting words that the dog was trained, not officially, not by the department, but by her late father, who had once worked search and rescue. She said the dog knew how to find people that he could help. Her voice didn't waver. She believed every word. Daniel wanted to believe her too, God, how he wanted to, but belief felt dangerous. Hope, after hours of nothing, felt like something that could shatter what little strength he had left. He hesitated, torn between protocol and desperation, between the officer he had always been and the father he was becoming in real time. Finally, he nodded. It wasn't an official decision, and it wasn't announced over the radio. It was a quiet, almost private moment of surrender. The girl knelt beside her dog, whispered something into his ear, and unclipped the leash. The dog surged forward, not wildly, but with purpose, pulling gently as if inviting them to follow. They moved into the woods, the world narrowing to the sound of leaves underfoot and the steady rhythm of the dog's movement. The air grew colder, heavier. Branches scratched at uniforms. Daniel's heart pounded so hard he was sure everyone could hear it. Every few steps, fear whispered that this was a mistake, that he was chasing a child's hope into the dark. But the dog never faltered. Minutes stretched into something timeless. Then suddenly the dog stopped. His body stiffened, ears forward, and a low bark broke the silence. Daniel rushed ahead, flashlight shaking in his hand, and there, beneath a fallen tree, tangled in roots and fear, was his son. The world seemed to collapse inward. Daniel dropped to his knees, pulling the boy into his arms, feeling the warm, undeniable proof of life against his chest. Tears came without warning, without shame. Around them, the search team caught up, voices breaking with relief, radios crackling with the words everyone had been waiting for. The little girl stood a few steps back, her dog sitting calmly at her side once more. She didn't cheer or cry. She simply watched, a quiet smile touching her lips, as if this was exactly how things were supposed to end. In the days that followed, the story spread through the department and the town. People talked about miracles and fate, about a brave dog and a determined child. Daniel returned to work changed. The world felt different now, softer in some places, sharper in others. He found himself listening more, questioning less, remembering how close he had come to ignoring the voice that mattered most. He visited the girl and her family later, bringing thanks that felt too small for what they had given him. He learned about her father, about the hours spent training the dog not for recognition, but because helping others mattered. Daniel saw his own reflection in that quiet dedication, and something inside him healed just a little more. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to comment below and share what part moved you the most. Your words mean more than you know. On the anniversary of his son's rescue, Daniel stood at the edge of those same woods, sunlight filtering through the trees that had once felt so threatening. His son laughed nearby, chasing fireflies, safe and alive. The memory of that night would never leave him, but it no longer hurt in the same way. It reminded him that strength isn't just authority, and wisdom doesn't always wear a badge. Sometimes it comes in the form of a small girl with unwavering belief and a dog who listens when others don't. As this story comes to an end, we ask one special thing. Please comment a single word, hope. If you believe that even in our darkest moments, help can come from the most unexpected places. And if this story touched your heart, inspired you, or brought a tear to your eye, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who might need a reminder that kindness, trust, and faith still matter in this world.